Have you ever wondered where to live to have the best dating life while working remotely? Or maybe you've thought about relocating, but you aren't sure which city offers both fun and the chance to meet your dream girl. Well, if that's you, you'll want to tune into this week's episode. We're diving into the top 7 cities around the world for single guys who work remotely and want to maximize their dating opportunities. I'll break down what makes each city a hotspot for singles, from the social scene and local culture to the local dating dynamics. This episode isn't just for those dreaming of a move. It's for any guy looking to turn his single status into a fun and fulfilling lifestyle while finding the one.
You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast, home to the social funnel method. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped over 1,300 digital nomads, expats, and remote workers build an amazing social and dating life abroad. My mission is simple: to help you position yourself to meet stunning women and make awesome friends en route to becoming the most confident and attractive version you can be. I have an intense hatred for fluff and useless advice that you can't take action on, so tune in each week to learn the most effective and implementable strategies to level up your game. So stick around, let's go.
So one of the most common questions I get from new members in my community, which consists of about 50% digital nomads and remote workers, is where should I live? And you would think that having more freedom and options would make us happier, but that's not the case due to the paradox of choice. The paradox of choice is the idea that having too many options can make it harder to make a decision, and this leads to less satisfaction. This is because having more choices requires more cognitive effort, which can cause decision fatigue and regret. FOMO, right? Well, I guess FOMO is slightly different, but you get the point. And I always remind my clients of the quote, "Wherever you go, there you are," which means your mentality and skill set has a way bigger impact on your results and experiences than your set of circumstances. Because I hear dudes constantly complaining about dating options, especially in LA and San Francisco, but I also know many guys, including myself, who have done extremely well in both markets. So first off, I feel it's important that I mention that you'll need to be quite good and quite skilled socially to really take advantage of the idea of international dating. You need to possess skills to meet women in real life and not just sit on the dating apps swiping, unless you're in that top 3% of really good looking guys. Exceptional looking, right? And most guys are drawn to the idea of travel because they've heard the rumors of how girls are hotter outside of America. But if you have no game at home, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a lot of sense to take your game on the road. Unless you're really old and or obese with literally zero game or social skills, then, sadly, your only real option is to move to a depressed foreign market, be a sugar daddy provider. But that's not the lifestyle that really anyone should aspire to. I'm talking 60-year-old plus, physically gross, no fashion, no game, no nothing. You'll see these guys in the bars in Bangkok hanging out with ladyboys typically, who they don't even know they're ladyboys, and it's just really sad. So this episode is not for you if you're straight up struggling to get any action, even from 4s and 5s. This episode, and most of my content in general, is for the guy who is doing okay but knows he can do better. He feels he's able to get decently cute girls, but the hottest ones more often than not seem to elude him. Also, it's very important to remember that going to one of these places on my list as a solo nomad is probably not the move. Yeah, you might have better luck than where you currently are, but game is not a solo sport. This is a social thing. And if you're struggling to connect with hotter girls, there's a very high chance this is exactly what you're doing wrong. Maybe you're fresh out of a divorce or a breakup and you don't really have any single friends or wingmen who are looking to really get after it. I get it. I talk to these guys every week and I help them plug into the right network to start building a lot of momentum. So if you think you can just go to these places and hunt for women, you're going to be found out as a sex tourist loser by most of the women that you actually want. Not only that, but you even run the risk of being targeted by local men if you're really obvious about it. I've heard some situations, especially down in South America, where the locals are just kind of sick of the sex tourist gringos, and I guess I would probably be too if I was one of those guys. The move is to find a wingman who wants to build a social circle with you. And if you both have the luxury of remote work, choosing a place together and setting up shop is the ultimate way to go. And I'm always facilitating this practice in the Inner Confidence community, and it's arguably the biggest value add of the program. So for those of you who don't really know my backstory, I was very successful dating in the US before I ever took my game on the road. I studied seduction from 2006 to 2012, became a coach before really ever traveling. But in 2012, me and my wingman took a 3-month trip to Europe. And the further east we went, the cheaper the prices got and the hotter and the more interesting the girls became. My favorite places on the trip were Budapest, Hungary, Belgrade, Serbia, and Split, Croatia. Here's a quick little photo. Here's me in Budapest with two awesome Hungarian girls I met. We're at the Ziget Music Festival here. And that trip infected me with the travel bug. And I visited 58 countries between 2012 and 2022. But I didn't just visit for a couple days and do the dumb, tourist shit. I would almost always travel with a solid wingman. I'd have connections with a local who had game, and I'd do extensive due diligence by day gaming at least 100 women, going to the best bars and clubs, swiping on the apps, of course, and really doing whatever I could to infiltrate the highest status social circles these places had to offer. Sometimes I stayed for a week, sometimes a few months. I also explored Warsaw, Krakow, Wrocław, Poland, Kiev and Odessa and Kharkiv, Ukraine, and of course, all of Western and Central Europe. The guys in my community also wanted to join the fun, so we organized trips together over the next few years to every spot on the map that we heard rumors of being good, including all the spots in South America, Southeast Asia, Israel, Turkey, Dubai, Mexico, Canada, Australia. We really left no stone unturned. So here's some more photos from those adventures. This is in Odessa. This was in Rio de Janeiro. Here's another nice photo from Rio de Janeiro, enjoying the landscape. Here's some fun I had in Greece. When I say I have the data on what's good and what's not, believe me, because it's not just me. These are the findings of 60 guys with game and experience who are incredibly well-traveled and informed, all constantly sharing our findings together in the community. I also spent a significant amount of time in all the major US cities. I've lived in LA, New York City, spent a ton of time in Chicago, Austin, San Francisco, Vegas, DC. I have cousins and family in Philly, spent a lot of time in Phoenix, in Dallas, in Denver, and I've explored every one of these dating markets. In 2018, I had a unique opportunity to help organize photo shoots for Playboy in Europe. One of the shoots, we rented this yacht. Here's, just us kind of chilling on the top of the yacht before a photo shoot. This is a cool drone shot we got. Here's all of us, me in the middle there with the blue tank top on. This is a party we did for my birthday. Here's me hanging out in Rome. You can see me in the middle there, a little bit blurry or shadowy. This was really a function of all the time I spent in Europe and the connections I made. These shoots would take place typically once a month in a different spot, like the Maldives, Italy, Greece, Cyprus. So it didn't take long before I knew a ton of beautiful women in Europe. And most of the girls were either Ukrainian, Russian, Belarusian, Hungarian. And I also felt a weird sort of ancestral tie. Not weird. I mean, just obviously due to the fact that I'm an Ashkenazi Eastern European Jew. So it always just kind of felt like home over there. And I love tall, model-esque, feminine women. So after a few months of insanity and doing all these photo shoots, I made so many girlfriends that I decided to apply for a temporary residence permit in Ukraine. And I moved in with a buddy. And I also wanted to see if I could run my sort of side vacation rental real estate business that I would mostly host through Airbnb and test out that market. And that turned out to be a success. By 2020, I had a nice portfolio of properties and a lifestyle that made a lot of the dudes I met jealous. So I'm not saying this to brag. I just want to illustrate what's possible. I'm not some superstar. I'm just a normal dude. I invested heavily in my game and social skills, and I had a strong enough hunger for my ultimate dream of finding an amazing life partner. My parents have a wonderful marriage. So did both of my sets of grandparents. I understood the importance of choosing the right life partner because it's the number one dictator of your future happiness. It's really the most important financial decision you can also make as a man. And the fact that so many guys jump into marriages without optimizing themselves first is, in my opinion, just flat out stupid. Of course, I wanted to have the maximum amount of fun in the process of finding that girl. So Kiev was the place based on all of those factors for me. I had so much fun and crazy adventures during my 15 plus bachelor years that ultimately, after crossing everything off that sexual bucket list, I met my wife in 2020, and this is her. That's me and Maria there. And now we live in LA. We're close to my family. We'll probably be starting a family of our own soon. But, if I was still single, I would even consider moving back to Kiev, regardless of the war that's currently going on, because it's simply that good for a single guy with the right connections and game. So without further ado, here is the list. Coming in at number 7 is Kiev, Ukraine. this would have been number one, but the war. And Kiev was becoming a hotspot for digital nomads and expats alike for good reason. The city's stunning. It's got a rich history, vibrant nightlife, some of the most beautiful and feminine women you'll ever meet. But, how does it rate across the board? So let's take a closer look at that. So for local competition, I'm going to rate this 5 out of 5. Ukrainian men are very chill. They're friendly. In my entire 4 years living there, I didn't encounter a single problem or have any negative issues with the locals. Maybe I just got lucky, but I doubt it. They seem to really like foreign guys there. They take an interest in you, and they make great wingmen. For the beauty of the city, and we're comparing against the absolute most gorgeous places in the world, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's very charming. It's very interesting. It's a mixture of ugly but notable kind of communist style buildings. These giant boxy concrete structures mixed with centuries old European style buildings. And that hodgepodge really adds to the charm, in my opinion. Amazing parks, great pedestrian areas. Traffic can be brutal, especially in the winter. For livability, I would give it a 4 out of 5. The only reason it's not a 5 is because of the lack of English spoken. Restaurants typically have English-speaking staff, but it's rare elsewhere. The city is super safe. Just don't be a fool. You'll never have any issues. For the cost of living, I would give it 5 out of 5. I have a 700 square foot apartment right in the, old city center, overlooks a beautiful church. I pay $900 a month for this. Really, you could live like a king for less than $5,000 a month here. And that's going to, effectively be about 1/3 the cost of living in a major Western city like New York City, LA, San Francisco. The nightlife, currently 1 out of 5. Used to be 5 out of 5, but due to the war and the curfew, it's not much of a existence these days, unfortunately. For day game, I give it 4 out of 5, simply due to the language barrier, but there's tons of opportunity, amazing women walking around. Ease of access, give it a 1 out of 5. Getting to Kiev is obviously now a big problem since the airports aren't operational due to the war. So the only real option is to drive or take a train from Poland. For femininity of women and beauty of women, 5 out of 5. Ukrainian women are stunning with very few obese people due to the local cuisine being mostly void of processed foods. About 30% of the hottest and most affluent women speak decent enough English, but obviously we know language isn't always necessary to fall in love. So next on the list is Montreal, Canada. This city, I think, is a hidden gem in North America. It's got an amazing European vibe, a diverse population, surprisingly active dating scene. The local competition, I'd give it 4 out of 5. Canadian dudes, super friendly and chill. You know the joke, all Canadians are nice. Many have game, so you can't just waltz in and forget about them, of course. For the beauty of the city, 4.5 out of 5 is one of the most beautiful places ever. It's got cool architecture, amazing pedestrian areas, beautiful sights. It's clean, both old and new, really top notch. For day game, 5 out of 5. No language barrier, amazing places. Like women walk around in this city almost everywhere. It's an older city, or an older style, European style. So there's decent foot traffic for day game. For livability, I would say 4 out of 5. The only reason it's not a 5 is due to the cost of living being a bit higher. And then the cost of living, 3 out of 5. It's definitely cheaper than the US with all the benefits, but certainly not as cheap as other places on the list, right? You can get a really nice 2-bedroom apartment for around $2,000. I'm paying $5,000 for the same place effectively here in LA. Same square footage, right? Almost 2.5x the cost. Nightlife, 5 out of 5. Tons of amazing venues, friendly to expats, just awesome spots to go out and party. Ease of access, 5 out of 5. You got a big airport, easy city to navigate. Femininity of women, 3 out of 5. Canadian girls are very westernized for some reason. In Montreal, they're more feminine and beautiful than in other Canadian cities. Well, not just in Montreal, in Quebec as well. Quebec City in that province. Maybe it's the French influence. And if you're into strip clubs, this is the best place in the world. The girls are super cool. Prices are really reasonable. Of course, I would never suggest operating like a typical thirsty loser in a strip club. But if you make friends with the staff and the girls, it can be an amazing social and an advanced hack, you could say. Number 5 on the list is Mexico City. Mexico City is rich with a cultural scene, incredible food, fast-growing expat community. It's really an under-the-radar dating spot and is worth considering. For the local competition, 4 out of 5. Mexican guys are very friendly and cool. For beauty of the city, I would give it a 5 out of 5. It's incredibly beautiful. So much history, so much cultural stuff. It's mile high elevation, which a lot of people don't realize. For livability, 5 out of 5. Everyone raves about the city, multitude of options for everything. Day game, I would give it a 4 out of 5, simply due to the language barrier. For the cost of living, 4 out of 5, definitely more affordable than the US. Prices can vary depending on the neighborhood, of course. For nightlife, 5 out of 5, tons of amazing venues, very friendly to expats. Ease of access, 5 out of 5, super easy to get to and from in the world. Easy to get around once you're there. For the femininity of women, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Women in Mexico City are friendly, they're feminine, they're stylish, they're open to foreigners. Many speak English.
Before we continue with the episode, if you're going out and getting numbers and want to improve your texting so more of those numbers convert to dates, check out my texting course. It will teach you the psychology of digital communication, which is surprisingly polar opposite in almost every way compared to live interactions. What works in person doesn't work in text, so this is almost always the area that men are making easily correctable mistakes that they're totally unconscious of. My course will optimize your texting, which is a skill you really need to master, and the best part is you can cut and paste your way to mastery. You can find the link in the description. It costs less than a round of drinks. And if you're going on dates and want to learn what to do so more of them end up in your bedroom, check out my free dating protocol. You'll learn to be an interesting guy to talk to, even if you're serious or over analytical. How to help a girl open up on a date, why talking about sex is a big taboo on dates if you want to get laid, and what to talk about instead, going from the first touch to the first kiss, how to invite her over to your place, and why you should skip 80% of the physical escalation moves you're doing back at your place. The link to this free guide is in the description. Out of all the guys I know, the only ones who manage to consistently land 8s and up are the guys who have built a social circle. You can certainly approach women and use the apps to get laid, but those strategies simply don't really work on top tier women. Think about it. She's hot, she has hot friends. And hot girls get invited to high status events almost every single night. So when it comes time to get ready for your date, do you think she's gonna show up or flake last minute when her girlfriend texts her to come to some awesome thing? As if she's gonna choose the random dude on Hinge or the guy who chased her down on the street over her social circle. No chance. If you're getting tons of flakes, this is the reason. But for most guys, the idea of building a social circle, especially if you're traveling or in a new city, can feel overwhelming. So they continue to hunt for women in their usual ways, and they end up settling for a girl they were never really that excited about in the first place. To avoid this fate, join our community of aspiring international playboys and instantly plug into a highly vetted social circle of cool dudes to network and navigate your journey with. You already know it's hard to find a wingman because the good ones don't really stay in the game very long. They get married, life goes on, right? Many of our members travel together, they end up living together, and they build amazing social circles in the best kept secret locations around the globe with gorgeous women and low cost of living. I'm extremely careful who I let into this community, but if you feel like you'd make a good fit, you can learn more about the social funnel method to consistently land top tier women and apply to join our community. The link is in the description. Now let's get back to the show.
Next on the list is Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. I'm gonna give those cities a tie from my research. I'm not sure which one's better than the other. I think they're great. They're on the list. Rio's kind of known for its breathtaking beaches, energetic culture. They both offer unique dating experiences. For the local competition, a little bit tougher. I would say 2.5 out of 5. Brazilian guys are a force to be reckoned with. They're in good shape. They're masculine. They have solid game. I never encountered any issues there, but they certainly weren't as friendly or warm compared to other international guys I've met, or Ukrainian guys, for example. For the beauty of the city, 3 out of 5. You know, the sights in Rio are iconic. There's the Christ Redeemer statue, the Two Brothers, Sugarloaf, beaches of Copacabana, but the city and the architecture itself in both places, it's very sort of ugly. There's just tons of like old buildings, many smell of mold, not particularly clean, just kind of these typical big cities. For livability, 3 out of 5. Both can be slightly dangerous. I had a buddy in down there who had a bulletproof car, which he said was pretty necessary. Obviously, I think they've gotten better, and you mentioned this back in like 2016. This was the case. But if you're not careful and you wander into a bad neighborhood, it can be a little dicey. My friend had a gun pulled on him. They tried to take his girlfriend's bag. You hear about these things quite a bit. The Wi-Fi wasn't great anywhere I found, making it difficult for me to record podcasts and to do my remote work. For day game in Brazil, these two big cities, I would give it 3 out of 5 due to the language barrier. There's not a lot of normal foot traffic. These cities aren't really in that old, small European style. So there's not as many girls just walking around. You got to go to the malls or you go to the beach, and that's not really standard day game as far as I'm concerned. For the cost of living, 2, 3 out of 5, certainly cheaper than the US, but at the nicer places, you're kind of on par with what you'd pay in the States. They've done a good job of charging a gringo tax on expats by upping the cost when they know people have money. For nightlife, 3 out of 5. The clubs I attended are mostly kind of gross. The bar scene is hit or miss. I was very overwhelmed and unpleasantly surprised by the nightlife there. We found one really cool spot, an outdoor bar in Gavia next to the racetrack in Rio. But I found the nightlife to be much better down in Florianopolis, which is a much smaller place in southern Brazil. For ease of access, 4 out of 5. You got big international airports in both cities. That's convenient. Easy to get a cab or an Uber. Traffic can be bad. I never tried the metro. For femininity of women, 4 out of 5. Brazilian women are very beautiful, feminine. They're quite funny. They seem to really like foreigners, and the English level is decent. The more beautiful and affluent girls speak enough English, though, as they say, Brazilian women can be super jealous. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to, again, group 2 cities together, Medellin and Cali, Colombia. I haven't been to Cali, but I have a client who is raving about it and other clients in the community who have spent a lot of time there. For local competition, 4 out of 5. Colombian men are very friendly and sociable, but there's a strong local dating culture that can make it a bit challenging. For beauty of the city, I'm going to give both 4 out of 5. Medellin is known as the city of eternal spring for its beautiful weather, lush landscapes. Cali, though less famous, has its own charm with vibrant neighborhoods, amazing culture. For livability, 4 out of 5. They both offer a great sort of city life and nature balance. Cali is a little bit more laid back, I've heard. For cost of living, 4 out of 5. Both cities are affordable by Western standards, but prices can vary depending on the area. Some gringo taxing going on. For night game, 5 out of 5. You got a dynamic nightlife scene, Medellin being famous for its clubs, Cali for its salsa community. For day game, 3 out of 5 due to the language barrier. Not as much normal foot traffic. And these cities, they're not like, again, the small European cities where most people walk around. So you've got your neighborhoods, though, where it's pretty good. For ease of access, 4 out of 5. Both cities have well-connected airports, though direct flights from some regions may require connections. Femininity of women, 5 out of 5. Colombian women are known for their warmth, beauty, strong cultural ties, making them very feminine, and just really amazing demeanors, also funny. I really like the vibe of Colombian women.
Hey, real quick. So I know that every episode of this show dives deep into one specific idea, topic, or strategy related to confidence and dating skills, but have you ever zoomed out to think about your overall strategy of your dates? If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's one of the most important things you could possibly do, and I'd love to help. I recently released a PDF of my 4-venue dating protocol, which my clients swear is the most valuable piece of dating advice they've ever read. It outlines the same 4-step process that both me and my clients have used to date scores of amazing women and create the relationships, either short-term or long-term, exactly on your terms. So if your conversion rate from first dates to second dates isn't at least 80%, this will revolutionize your results. So if that would be interesting to you, the link to the dating protocol is in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the show.
Number 2 on the list is Belgrade, Serbia. I've spent a lot of time here. Probably been to Serbia 5 or 6 times. Just an amazing city, totally under the radar, hidden gem. For local competition, this is where it becomes tougher. 2 out of 5. Serbian dudes are confident and alpha. Serbian women love their local boys. It's very tough to compete unless you're very, very good. So if you're not already very skilled with women, I wouldn't recommend Belgrade. But if you have great social skills in game, you can really clean up here with insanely hot and intelligent women. These are like wife material sorts of girls to be found in Serbia. For the beauty of the city, 4 out of 5. Totally underrated. Amazing city. It's got castles. The Danube River flows right through the city center. Incredible architecture. There's huge pedestrian areas that really add to the charm. A bike tour is a must to learn the cultural sort of significance of the city. For livability, 4 out of 5. The city offers a high quality of life, very affordable prices, vibrant cultural scene. Cost of living, 4 out of 5. Again, on par with Eastern Europe, you're going to save around 66% of what you would spend, the cost of living in the West. Ease of access, 3 out of 5. Not the easiest place to get direct flights to, but worth the effort. For day game, 5 out of 5. Very walkable. English is spoken, great. Femininity of women, 5 out of 5. Similar quality to Ukrainian girls, but their English is even better. They tend to be a little bit more conservative, making them a better candidates for great long-term relationships. If you're looking for short-term stuff, not as good. Nightlife, 5 out of 5. Some of the best nightlife in the world. Just remember, you do have to be good to succeed. Number 1 on the list, Sofia, Bulgaria. I have not been. I've been to other places in Bulgaria, just for some reason, never made it there. I always found Kiev to be better before the war, from what I'd heard and from very close friends who have lived there. Now, I think it's probably the best place you could possibly go. It's a mix of kind of like Ukraine and Serbia in terms of beauty and architecture. It's more convenient for everyday living though, because you're in that Schengen zone. So it's about the same degree of difficulty to travel to and from. It's got beautiful parks, very green city. The nightlife is 4 out of 5, very affordable. The locals aren't as competitive as they are in Belgrade, so it makes it a little bit better. And it's got a little bit of a safer feeling than Belgrade due to its lack of ties to Russia and that whole conflict. So a side note on Russia, I've spent time in both Moscow and St. Petersburg. Both are fantastic in terms of beautiful women, architecture, nightlife. It's a little bit more expensive than other places in Eastern Europe. But right now, I just don't think either are a viable option for most Western guys, especially Americans, due to the war and the country's volatile relationship with the rest of the world. I do have one buddy who's Argentinian, and he moved to St. Petersburg, and he tells me it's the greatest place on earth right now for single dudes because all the men have been drafted and the women are hunting for men like crazy. So for the more adventurous and brave listeners, this could be your next spot. Also want to mention there are a few other niche dating markets that I think are awesome but didn't make the list simply due to their size and lack of accessibility. And those are Florianopolis, Brazil, Chisinau and Transnistria, Moldova, which is the breakaway sort of Russian enclave in Moldova, and Novi Sad, Serbia, which is a very like the college university town of Serbia. It's about an hour away from Belgrade. And these are all fantastic spots, but they might not be as relevant to everyone listening. If you have questions about these places, leave a comment. I'll answer. Perhaps I'll do another episode if I've got enough demand. So that wraps up our top 7 dating markets for digital nomad men. Whether you're looking for a place to settle down for a few months or just want to explore new dating scenes, these cities should definitely be on your radar. Don't forget, the key to success in any of these places is understanding the local culture and adapting your approach accordingly. If you want more personalized advice, join our community. You can connect with the other guys. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep leveling up.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're a regular listener and you're digging our content, do me a favor, leave us a 5-star review. It's how other people learn about the show and how we can spread the word. If you don't feel like it's worthy of 5 stars, just go ahead, don't leave any review at all. And I want to let you know that we've opened up a few slots in our exclusive community. We're accepting applications to join our select group of men and experience the radical power of accountability, step up your game, cross everything off your sexual bucket list, and become a beast at accomplishing all of your goals. To learn more and apply, go to innerconfidence.com/community.